Oh, I'm letting you down. You're not on the attendance sheet anymore.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry to disappoint.
Are you supposed to be on the attendance sheet?
I don't know.
Do you want to be?
If you want to put me on the I'm
It's up to
sorry.
you. It's up to you.
I can't have the paparazzi knowing where I am.
It's up to you. Okay, so what we're gonna do first is, what's your name? Nancy Jacobson. Okay. What we're gonna start with first is discussing some of the halachas. We're going to be discussing some of the halachas of kosher, of time on Shabbos. You know, on Shabbos you can't do 39 halachas.
Yes.
39, yeah. Actually works out to do, and one of them is tying and untying. Remember, we did it at the end of last year. I think some of you were here. Many of you. We're going to review that first, and then we're going to move on to the next malach. So, this malach is called kosher. Maybe maybe have to adjust. Called kosher. Could you read this? Kosher means tying. Kosher is tying. Tying. You're not allowed to tie a knot in Shabbos, right? I just brought something here. Good. I got it. You can't tie, okay? Okay, so tying is simple, but there's also other examples that we're going to use. That's something else would be easier. But meanwhile, so you can't tie. In other words, I cannot go like this. I go like this. I made a knot. You can't do this on Shabbos, right? Now, imagine this was a shoelace. Easy if it was a shoelace, that's the reason. Okay. Let's say this is a shoelace. Now, the shoelace, you go like this. It's not going to work so well because it's not a shoelace. If you tie your shoes, right, the regular way, is this called a knot?
No.
It's not called a knot. Because now you're saying it's not called a knot because you know you're allowed to tie your shoes at Shabbos, so that means it's not a knot, right? The answer is it is a knot.
Because you know you're going to take it out.
You're a step ahead, okay? It is considered a knot. It is a knot. But because it's not a permanent knot, it's not a kesher shel kayama, it's not a permanent knot, it's two things. It's not only that it's not a permanent knot. A lot of knots that aren't permanently now they do it. Because it's not permanent and it's not going to stay for 24 hours, so therefore you're allowed to tie it. So the reason why you're allowed to tie your shoes at Shabbos is because it's going to stay tight for less than 24 hours. Now, it doesn't actually matter if it's going to stay for 24 hours or not. It matters on what your intention is. So when you tie your shoes, generally, you untie your shoes at night, you're allowed to tie your shoes. The fact that you don't end up untying your shoes, right? So you tie your shoes Shabbos morning, you usually untie it after Shabbos. You didn't end up untying it after Shabbos, and the shoes end up being tied for 24 hours. It doesn't, it's okay. It's okay because when you tied it, that's how you usually do it. Usually you tie it for less than 24 hours. That's the only reason why you're allowed to tie your shoes on Shabbos. If this was your habit, let's say, hypothetically speaking, not a real example, purely hypothetical. You never take off your shoes after Shabbos. After Shabbos, your shoes always stay on till Sunday morning because Motzei Shabbos, you're traveling and you're in the car all night. Let's say this is your routine. Let's say, funny situation, right? You're not allowed to tie your shoes Shabbos morning because whenever you tie your shoes Shabbos morning, it's meant to stay there for 24 hours. You actually will not be allowed to tie your shoes Shabbos morning. So the reason why you're allowed to tie your shoes Shabbos morning is because it stays because it's meant to stay tied for less than 24 hours. That is the reason. Now, whenever you're not allowed to tie something, you're not allowed to untie it. So if you're allowed to tie it, you're allowed to untie it. If you're not allowed to tie it, you're not allowed to untie it. It goes together. So if shoes were tied in a way that you're not allowed to tie it, you have to also keep in mind that means you're not allowed to untie it. It goes together. If you're allowed to tie it, then you're allowed to untie it.
But if you're allowed to tie it, you're not allowed to untie it.
If you're allowed to tie it, you're allowed to untie it. If you're not allowed to tie it, you're not allowed to untie it. So we're talking about tying. Untying, just like you cannot tie a knot, you cannot untie a knot. Which knots are you not allowed to untie? The same knot you're not allowed to tie, you're not allowed to untie. It doesn't matter how long it's tied for. So if it ends up being tied for a long time, but if you're allowed to tie that knot, you're allowed to untie the knot. And if you're not allowed to untie a knot, you're not allowed to cut the knot. You cannot say, oh, I cannot untie it, so I'll just cut it. Same idea. You cannot untie it, you cannot cut it also.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you're tying your boots, for example, and then you're using the zipper, it stays for 24 hours.
A zipper is not called tying.
No, I'm saying if I'm tying my shoes this morning, and then I'm using the zipper to remove my shoes after, and the tie is staying still.
Oh, that's both.
The women's boots are complicated.
Yeah, so but you tie it?
You tie it, and then you zip your boots, and then 24, after you come, you untie, you just unzip. The tie is still staying.
Okay, so who is able to answer this question? It's a good question. I want to see if someone here could answer the question. Everyone understands the question? Right? If you're putting on boots, then you're tying it, and also you're putting on this, pulling up the zipper. Then later you're just gonna open up the zipper and leave it tied. Is that okay?
No, not on Shabbos.
Now the question is what okay? Are you allowed to tie it or not? Right?
Don't tie it.
Questions are you? Questions are you?
Well, if your intention is to unzip it,
Then you shouldn't tie it.
Tie it before Shabbos because every time you take on and off the boot, you're just zipping it. So therefore the tie is gonna be forever.
Okay, so
It's an
good. So
infinity
let's answer it more accurately. That's good. Let's answer it more accurately. When you're putting on your boots and you're pulling up the zipper, tying it, and then at the end of the day, what do you usually do? What is your usual habit? Is your usual habit to untie it? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, or you never untie. You always just unzip it and that's it. What it depends what your habit is. If you never untie it, when you put on boots, zipper, you tie it and you never untie it, so it remains tied the whole time. I mean, obviously it's not all the time because now you did tie it, so there's a time that you did untie it. So, but let's say you always leave it tied, then what she said was correct. You're not allowed to tie it.
but if
Many times you do sometimes yes, sometimes, but it's very possible. The likelihood is that you will. Sometimes you're not in the mood, so you leave it tied, but many times you do. A lot of people, they're lazy at night. They don't untie their shoes, but many times they do untie their shoes. So it's the normal thing is to being that many times they do untie their shoes. So it's not really meant to be there for 24 hours. So it's very individual. It depends on what's your habit. But if that's what it is, when you leave it, that's how it is. Because for whatever reason, you're not untying it at night, then you're not allowed to tie it. So what you should do is have in mind that you plan to untie it. Otherwise, you cannot tie your shoes. Okay. Let's see. Tying a challah bag. Let's see if you remember this. If you, anyone has a plastic bag here? No? Plastic bag.
Like a shopping bag.
Like a bag that has something in it, not a shopping bag is good. Yeah, is there? Is there a shopping bag here?
I have a zip bag.
Rabbi, then there is like a garbage bag. Maybe.
Okay, so let's say,
Oh, perfect.
not a little too big, but it's fine. So let's say this is a challah bag, but much smaller. Imagine this, that table. You finish eating the challah, and you go like this. You want to make it simple. See what I'm doing? Okay. Go like this. Not tight. You can do it very tight. You can do it simple. It's very easy to open. Maybe I to do this on Shabbos. On Friday night, finished eating. I want to put away the challah, keep it fresh for tomorrow morning. Am I allowed to do this? Yes or no? Want something more than that? Yes, no is it's good. You have to guess the answer. Say yes, no. One of them is going to be right. But
Tomorrow.
I need more words than just
The
yes.
intention
No.
is to open it tomorrow.
If the intention is to open it tomorrow, so it's going to be tight for less than 24 hours. Right? But if it's Shabbos day, you finish the meal and that's it. You're not eating any more challah. Let's say you're not eating. Some people do eat much Shabbos. Let's say you don't. Shabbos day, put away the challah. You have no plans. It stays like this, and whatever you do with it, it sits or free. Whatever you do with it, it's going to stay for 24 hours. Then you cannot tie it. Now it doesn't matter even if you don't make it tight. It means even if it's not tight, because the same thing you can make very tight. Right. Even if it's not very tight, you're still not allowed to do it because it's going to stay tight for 24 hours.
So how can we keep the challah fresh?
You can't. Only if you plan, only if it's usual that you open up within 24 hours.
Oh.
If it's, in other words, it doesn't have to be that you for sure. Let's say if it's going to be Shabbos day, and let's say Matzah Shabbos, many times you use the challah for a long amount. Not all the time. It's very common. You don't have to know for sure. Am I for sure? I have to make sure to open it with the phone. No, you don't have to know for sure. If it's normal, it happens. It's a normal thing that many times you will open it up after Shabbos, then it's okay. If you don't end up opening up, it's fine, because at that time, it is the normal thing that you open it up within, that sometimes you'll open it up within 24 hours. So you're allowed to do it.
And you
Now,
said it doesn't matter how tight.
not against it. You always step in. Now, what if you make it very tight? What if you make it very tight? You make it very tight.
And you won't be able to open it?
Where you're always able to, but you're gonna have to use a little more,
Elbow grease.
digging into it. It's gonna take. You make it tight, and now you have to you really have to work hard to open it. Now, this you shouldn't do at all. This you should not do, even if you plan to open within 24 hours, because there's an opinion that says because it's a very strong knot, it goes into a different category. It's a machlokes. But because it's a very strong knot, it goes into a different category where it's going to be prohibited even though it's less than 24 hours. So then this should not be done. Now, we said anything that you're not allowed to tie, you're not allowed to untie. So the question is, what about if you have a pair of shoes you want to put on Shabbos morning and it's tight? It's not. It's a very strong knot. Sometimes when you tie your shoes, it ends up being a very strong knot. Right? By mistake, you make a knot. Right? It gets knotted. Is that considered a knot? So first step is like this. If you by mistake make a knot, right? It's actually two things. If by mistake you make a knot, by mistake, is that a knot? In other words, you're tying your shoes, let's say Shabbos, by mistake you turn it and you made a knot. Or you want to tie your shoes and there's already a knot from before and you can't untie, but the knot happened by mistake, not on purpose. Is that considered a knot?
Yeah.
The answer is no. Being that it was not done intentionally, it's not considered a knot. So you're allowed to undo it. But let's say it is a knot. It's a knot that was done intentionally. It's not very strong. And you want to untie it because you want to take your shoes off and it's not comfortable. or you need to put on the pair of shoes, and you can't get it on because of the knot. So then there is a leniency. There is a leniency over here where you will be allowed to untie the knot if you're in great discomfort, meaning discomfort, not physical discomfort, meaning, but you, of course, if you're physically uncomfortable because it's tight, it's very tight. But even if you really need the garment, like you're really upset because you need these shoes or whatever the garment is, we're going to be lenient and allow you to untie it in a case where you really need it. And the reason for that is because we're discussing over here where it was not meant. We're talking about a very strong knot, which that itself is questionable if it's considered, if it's prohibited. Not everyone agrees that it's an issue. And also, let me explain. So now I'm going to the explanation. I have to give you a little more background. So if you want to know the reason behind it. Okay. So I don't know if it's necessary to go into the reason, but I already started explaining it. So I already finished giving you what's the logic behind it. There's something called Maisi Uman. Everyone knows what Uman means? Uman means a craftsman. Craftsman. So according to Halacha, a knot that's the work of a craftsman, a real professional. In those days, they had real professional knots. So even though it's made for less than 24 hours, you're not allowed to tie it, you're not allowed to untie it, because it's a professional knot. And that itself is a question. It's a machlekes. One opinion says, even though it's less than 24 hours before, because it's a professional knot, you're not allowed to tie it, and you're not allowed to untie it. So we're talking about the knots they had back in those days, which we're not familiar with these days. We don't really know exactly what it is. Back in those days, they didn't have modern technology, so everything was, you want to make something strong, knots that made ways of make real professional knots. And that, according to one opinion, you're not allowed to do, even though it's less than 24 hours. So it's machlekes. So in other words, it's questionable and we're strict. So what are we strict about? A professional knot. So far, is it clear what I'm saying? Now, what are these professional knots? We're not sure what these are. We're not familiar with it. That is why I gave you the example over here. If you take this bag and you go like this, and you make a very strong knot, we're going to say you cannot do it and you cannot untie. Why? Because perhaps this goes into the category of a professional knot. Perhaps. We don't know for sure, but maybe. So there's another question, there's another doubt. Even if it was a professional knot, less than 24 hours, not everyone says it's prohibited. We need to be strict. But there's two opinions. It's like, now we're talking about this knot. It's not for sure, we don't know for sure if it's professional knot, but for sure we're still strict, we don't do it. But Chacham tell us in a case where it's in a difficult situation, you're really bothered by the fact that either you can't get your foot out or you want to use the garment, you want the shoes or whatever. So being that this is a knot that's not for sure a professional knot, and it was made for less than 24 hours, it wasn't made with the intention that it should stay there for 24 hours. So now you will be allowed to untie it, either because you're uncomfortable because you can't, keeping the shoe, you want to take the shoes off, or because you're in distress because you want to wear this garment and the knot was made and you can't get the shoes on because of this knot. So if the knot was made for less than 24 hours and it's a strong knot, we're going to allow you to undo this knot in a situation where you're really, really upset about it. Is this clear? You're not allowed to make this knot. But again, just like you cannot make it, you cannot undo it. So now I'm talking about what about undoing it? If you're in a situation where it's knotted, and now you can't get your shoes on because there's a knot there. It wasn't made with intention to stay there for 24 hours. It was made with intention to stay for less than 24 hours when you tied it. Now you want to wear the shoes. You're upset. You really want the shoes. So we're going to allow you to undo this knot. Even though usually we say no, because just like you cannot tie it, you cannot untie it. Now we're going to allow you to untie it. Why? Because there's two levels. It's going down to, it's two levels removed, meaning the whole concept of a professional knot is a machlokes, is an argument. Again, when I say it's an argument, I don't mean to imply, yeah, we could be lenient, who cares? No, it's strict, but still, it's questionable. This is a step removed, because this knot is not for sure a professional knot. We're saying maybe it's a professional knot. We're not sure what it is. We have to be strict. But in a case where you're really in distress and you need the garment, or your foot is not comfortable, whatever the case is, we're going to allow you to untie it. Now, again, if we're talking about a knot that was made by mistake, when you're tying your shoes and you pulled the string the wrong way and you made a knot, that's not a problem. Because if it was never made with intention, it can't be called a knot. A knot, the definition of knot is when you make with intention. But just a knot became, that's not a knot. That you could untie without a problem. So the whole the conversation is when you actually made the knot for less than 24 hours. Yeah.
I think you answered this, but I'm not so sure. Like, as long as you're gonna take it out in 24 hours, it doesn't matter what kind you tie. For example, you know, like some shirts have like 2 strings and you could like make a little.
One second. It's a little, let's have everyone's attention. Try to concentrate now. People are talking. Yeah. Yeah.
If you're gonna take it out, like you know you're gonna take it out. Like for example, you put on a dress or a shirt, and like you know you're gonna take it out for the end of the day, not shoes.
You
or, like,
know, or you usually take it out. You don't have to know for sure.
Right.
If you usually take it out, it's good enough.
But what I'm
Whatever
saying, it
happens
doesn't
later doesn't matter.
What type of knot, like if I have a dress, right, that has like this little built-in belt type situation,
Right.
I can tie whatever I want. It doesn't have to be like a Shabbos knot, right? You know what I'm saying?
All we said was that you cannot make a strong knot.
Right.
And you can make a very strong knot that's hard to take apart.
But you can make whatever type of one.
Make this. See what I did now?
I did. Yeah.
Now I really have to work hard to take it apart. This you don't do on Shabbos.
Right.
Because even though it's less than 20 hours, you're not supposed to make this knot.
So if you're taking out the trash on Shabbos, you
No,
just
not. Taking out the trash is a very good question, very practical question.
Yeah.
And people, you can't even make a regular knot. Because
So what do you do
because you
with
plan to leave it there for 24 hours.
right forever. So
That's right. So you're not supposed to make even a regular knot. Now, what kind of knot? Perfect. You have a garbage bag.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Okay, this has a drawstring, so but still the same idea.
Yeah.
Right. So now, what could you do?
I always wondered about that. What do you miss?
Now, only thing you can do is you can go one time. Go once. Once and that's it. But if it's holding, it's a little tricky. This is holding. In a regular case, like when you tie your shoes, you go once, that's okay.
You can.
You could do once. Once is not called a knot. But if you're doing twice, even though it's not a very strong knot, but it's still considered a knot. It's holding. That you can't do. So when you take out your garbage, you have to go once, and that's it. It's a problem because it's not going to stay closed. So really, you want to make sure to take it out before Shabbos. And if you take it out Yom Tov, you have to be careful. You can only tie it one time, and that's it. And then
And then it becomes undone, and like, oh well.
you have to Shabbos, you have to tie it again.
Right.
But you can't double knot. Now, a double knot, when people ask about a double knot, no one has an excerpt there, should be sitting around, right? A double knot is this. A double knot, this is part of it. What is it? What is the category of a double knot? Is it a strong knot or not a strong knot? What is a double knot?
I think it's strong.
Huh?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty strong.
It depends how you do it. You can make a double knot that's strong. Make a double knot that's loose, right? You could tie a double knot and it's not strong. It's holding, but you could take it apart, right? Then you can make a double knot that's very, very strong. So it all depends how you do it. Even this, look at this. I'm gonna go like this. You see this? It's hard to see. You see what I just did? Yeah. Now I'm going to do on the other side. I'm going to make a strong knot over here. It's going to be hard for me to take it apart. I got to. Okay.
Why do you tie the knot of a garter? Did you ready to go?
Look, I made two knots over here. One side is loose. One side is. This is still a knot. This is a strong knot. It all depends how strong you make it. If it's very strong, then you're not supposed to do it on Shabbos. What do you say, gartel on Shabbos? There's no knot made to be put on a gartel. There's no knot. Anyways, you take it up less than 24 hours. But it's not really considered a knot. It could be considered a knot. It depends how you put it on.
I remember someone like,
If you put it on the way where you're just going around and around, for example, if you put on a garter like this, and you're going, if you're going like this, could be considered a knot. But no one leaves it on for 24 hours.
Right.
There are ways how to do it where you just wind it around. Which
But you're
means
gonna take it out.
anything you do, you're going to take it out within 24 hours. Let's say you're not. So if you go around and around and around and around, then you tuck it in. In the years ago, growing up, the Sefer Torahs were different than now. Now they have developed. I don't know if you noticed when you tie the Sefer Torahs. You ever noticed? Pay attention. You can see from the lady section. There's a Velcro going around and it closes the Velcro. All the Sefer Torahs like that. When I grew up, it wasn't like that. Many of the Sefer Torahs, they used like a not a string, but something nice, but they would have to tie it like you tie shoes. Something nice, not a pair of two shoelaces, but it was the same way you tied your shoes. That's how they would tie the Sefer Torah, many of them. So it was an issue on Shabbos.
right?
Remember always Shabbos, when they read the Torah by mincha time, they had to be
Right.
careful
They're
not
not
to
gonna read
tie
it.
it because they're not going to read it until Monday. So Shabbos morning, when they tied the Sefer Torah, it was no problem because they would read it Shabbos mincha. Shabbos and mincha, when they finished reading it, they will also tell the person to be careful. What do they tell them? What did the person do?
This
They
really
tell the
light.
person, if you had something to show it on, just go around. Basically, you just go around and around. You go around and around. And then, okay, and then, okay, here it finishes. And then, look, see what you're doing? Then you start tucking it in. You just tuck it in. If you just tuck it in, then you're not doing anything. It's
Right,
not-
that's like a twist. It's not.
Yeah, you just, they were just tuck it in, tuck it in, tuck it in, tuck it in, tuck it in. So I don't know how practical this is these days, this halacha, but it could come up. In the situation, let's say you're tying something, sometimes things come up. You have to tie it, whatever, you're going with it. So how do you tie it? You know, and it's going to stay for 24 hours. So if you go around and around and then you start tucking it in, you tuck it in again, you tuck it in. Because now you're not tying anything. You just tuck it in, tuck it in. You keep on tucking. No, it doesn't matter. You can tuck it many times because you're doing the same thing again and again. There's no knot. As opposed to if you would tie it and then make a bow, it would be an issue. So tying it, you could tie it. You could tie it, but then you tuck it in, so you never finish the knot. It's nothing, because you're just tucking it in. There's no problem.
When we're talking about the challah bag and how Friday night it's totally fine because you're gonna open the Shabbos morning
Right.
and then Shabbos after lunch. You said that you can't tie it at all, no matter how loose it is, because you know you're not gonna open it within 24 hours.
Correct. So if again, everyone understands what happened. Shabbos day, you finish the challah. So you take the challah bag.
It doesn't matter how loose it is, you can't tie it.
How loose? Well, at some point, when you make it really loose, nothing, you didn't do anything.
Right.
We're talking about you tied it that it's, you can,
So
yeah.
Spain, Like the garbage.
It's sustaining, exactly. It's
Right.
holding there. It's keeping it closed. Yeah, so that is a knot. That is a knot,
But you can't do.
which you cannot do if it generally stays for
Right.
24 hours. You cannot make that knot. Right. Okay, let's see. Oh, but not one more thing. A twist tie. You know what twist ties? Twist tie. Anyone knows what
Yeah.
twist tie?
Like on a bag of bread.
Yeah, they twist it. There's different opinions over here. Some say that this is considered like a knot. It's a machlokes. It's not clear. No, it's not. We don't know for sure if it's a knot, but some say it is a knot because you're twisting it. Because one of the ways that you make rope string is by twisting, and that's you can't make rope on Shabbos because no one plans to make rope on there, but you should know you can't make a rope because the twisting, that's called tying, and you cannot do that on Shabbos. So applying it to a twist tie, some opinions say a twist tie is the same idea, because what's a twist tie? Also, you're twisting, so it's like making rope. But it's not for sure prohibited, because it's not really, you're not really making rope over here. But if you plan to twist it in a way that it's going to stay for 24 hours, you should not do it on Shabbos. So what you do is you take the twist tie and you go straight. Instead of twisting, you take the twist tie.
And then you
I
just
wish I
tuck
had
it
one
like
here. You go around. You get what I'm saying? You take the twist tie and you go around straight without turning it. You keep it straight and you go around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what you should do. Again, if you do it, someone does it on Shabbos, it doesn't mean it's for sure prohibited. It's not clearly defined. We don't really know for sure in what category it is. So we try to be careful. And if it's going to stay for less than 24 hours, no problem. If you want to tie it in a way that it's going to stay for 24 hours, then you should not just twist it, but just go around and around until it closes. Okay, any other questions?
I would go in order of the Chodesh Shabbat.
Yeah, we're continuing in the order of the Malachos where I started last year.
Oh.
It's going to be continuing. Okay, Shemata, next month will be about sewing. Okay.
Do we only have our